Our first book today is called Firefighter by Gail Gibbons. Firefighter in the city. In an apartment house, a breeze has blown a towel up into the flame of the hot stove. A fire begins. The smoke alarm screams. A phone call alerts the fire dispatch center. Instantly, the dispatcher calls the firehouse nearest the fire. A loudspeaker blares out the address of the fire, and the firefighters go into action. They slide down brass poles to the ground floor where the fire engines are and hurry into their firefighting gear. Then they take their positions on their fire engines. The big trucks roar out of the firehouse. Sirens scream and lights flash. The fire engine arrives at the scene. The fire is bigger now. The fire chief is in charge. He decides the best way to fight this fire. Hoses are pulled from the trucks. Each separate fire truck is called a company. Each separate company has an officer in charge. The fire chief tells each officer in charge what he wants the firefighters to do. Firefighters are ordered to search the building to make sure no one is still inside. A man is trapped. A tower ladder is swung into action. The man is rescued quickly. At the same time, the aerial ladder is taking other firefighters to the floor above the fire. Inside, firefighters attach a hose to the building standpipe. Water is sprayed onto the fire to keep it from moving up through the apartment house. Now the aerial is swung over to the roof of the burning building. Firefighters break holes in the roof and windows to let out poisonous gases, heat, and smoke before they can cause a bad explosion. There's less danger now for the firefighters still working in the building. Firefighters are battling the blaze from the outside of the building too. Fire hoses carrying water from the fire hydrants to the trucks. Pumpers in the fire trucks control water pressure and push the water up through the discharge hoses. Streams of water hit the burning building and buildings next door to keep the fire from spreading. The fire is under control. The fire is out. The firefighters clean up the rubble. Back at the firehouse, they clean their equipment and make an official report on the fire. The city firefighters take turns living at their firehouse. There are firefighters on duty day and night. Between alarms, they practice and train. Teach people about fire prevention too. Firefighter in the country. A barn has caught fire. A spark from an old electrical wire has ignited some hay. An emergency call is made to the dispatch center. This is a central fire dispatching center for several county towns. The dispatcher calls the volunteer firefighters in the town where the fire is. They get the messages on their beepers. Volunteer firefighters must leave their jobs or homes to answer the fire alarm day or night. They don't live at the firehouse. The volunteers hurry into their firefighting gear that they keep in their cars. Some go to the firehouse to get the fire trucks. Others will meet the fire trucks at the fire. Here come the volunteers. There isn't a fire hydrant here to supply water. The pumper truck carries its own water. It pumps the water through the hose onto the fire. The pumper truck runs out of water. A tanker truck is standing by to help out. This is a big fire. It might spread to the farmhouse. The fire chief calls the dispatch center for more equipment and firefighters. Another town is called for help. This time, an alarm is sounded from the firehouse. 2 more pumper trucks arrive with volunteers. There is a stream nearby. Water from the stream is sucked through the hose and into the pumper truck, then pumped along to the other trucks. The trucks spray water on the fire. The fire dies down. The fire is out. The farmhouse is saved. Fire chief makes notes for his official report while the firefighters help clean up. The volunteers return to their firehouses to clean their trucks and equipment. They will go back to their jobs and homes until they are called again. Firefighter in the forest. Lightning has struck. It hasn't rained for a long time, and the ground and trees are dry. A fire begins. In a fire tower, a lookout spots a plume of smoke. He radios the forest ranger station to report the fire. In moments, propeller planes fly in to help. Smoke jumpers in their jumpsuits parachute down to the scene. The firefighting supplies are dropped in. The firefighters cut down trees and dig a fire stop, a cleared area in front of the fire. A bulldozer arrives to help clear too. The ground is doused with water. Now the fire can't spread. Overhead, planes spray chemicals to smother the flames. The fire is over. The smoke jumpers and supplies are packed up. Back at the forest rangers, a fire report form is filled out and filed. Sometime later, new young trees will be planted to help the damaged forest grow again. Fire on the waterfront. Some oily rags in an old pier building have begun to burn. The fire faces out over the water, and fire trucks can't get close enough to fight it. Fire boats, floating fire companies, must answer the alarm. The fire boats aim their water nozzles at the pier. Big pumps in the building suck up large amounts of water and force it through the nozzles. Jets of water stream onto the fire. The fire sizzles and crackles. The fire is out. Firefighters clean up and write the report. Back with the other fire boats, they will patrol the waters on alert for the next emergency. Different kinds of fires, different kinds of firefighters. They are all ready to fight a fire at the moment they are needed. And other firefighting equipment are fire extinguishers. They are used to put out small fires. They spray chemicals to smother the flames. Fire escapes are staircases permanently attached to the buildings of tall buildings. People can climb down them to safety. Sprinkler systems inside the building automatically spray water if a fire begins. Life nets or airbags can be placed under a window of a burning building so that people can jump to safety. Flame-resistant suits are used in very hot fires to protect firefighters from the heat and flames. Helicopters are called in to rescue people trapped in very high buildings. And foam-carrying trucks are needed to fight oil and gas fires. Water cannot be used on these fires, so the trucks spray a layer of foam onto the flames to suffocate them. And ways to prevent fires. Fires can be accidentally started by people of any age. So don't play with matches. Don't leave anything burnable near or on a stove. Don't overload electrical outlets. Don't use electrical cords that are old and frayed. Don't keep rags that are soaked with grease, oil, or paint. Don't smoke in bed. Don't start a barbecue fire with kerosene or gasoline. Don't leave rubbish or flammable liquids near a furnace, a radiator, stove, or other heat source. Don't leave an iron while it is still hot. Don't use a wood stove or a fireplace that has a dirty chimney. Don't leave an unguarded fire. Don't leave a campfire until it is clean or completely out. Make regular checks throughout your house for any fire hazards. And what to do if there is a fire? Shout loud to warn other people in the building. Get out of the building immediately. If the room is smoky, crawl on the floor. The air near the floor will be cooler and cleaner. If the door is hot, don't open it. There might be a fire behind it. Go to another exit. Close the door behind you when you leave the room. It will keep the fire from spreading. Once you're outside the building, call the fire department from the nearest phone. If you don't know the fire department's phone number, dial the operator. In some areas, there is a special emergency number, 911. Give the complete address of the building, the number, street, city, town, and state. If there is a fire alarm box nearby, use it. Don't go back to the building for any reason. The firefighters will be there to help. Stop, drop, and roll. If your clothes catch fire, stop, don't move. Drop to your knees, then roll on the ground to smother the flames. And that's the end of book number 1. Second book here is Pete the Cat and Firefighter Pete. And this one's written by James Dean. We are going on a class trip today, says Principal Nancy. She leads the class to a bright yellow bus. Everyone climbs aboard. I wonder where we are going, says Pete. They are going to visit the firehouse today. The bus parks next to the bright red firehouse. Pete and his classmates are excited. The firehouse is huge. It is so big it can hold 2 long red fire trucks and all of the firefighters' equipment. The firefighters show the kids around. They give everyone a turn to ring the old brass fire bell outside the firehouse. Ring. Then all the kids take turns sliding down the firefighter's pole. Whee! Callie yells as she glides down. The firefighters allow the kids to try on their gear. Firefighters wear a lot of equipment. First, Pete puts on the heavy black overalls. Then he steps into the tall black boots. A firefighter helps Pete put on the heavy yellow jacket. Finally, they place a hard black helmet on Pete's head. All this gear is very heavy. Pete can barely move. The firefighters allow the kids to explore one of the fire trucks. Callie sits in the driver's seat and presses the horn. Brat. It's so loud that all the kids cover their ears. Then Pete turns on the sirens and lights. The sirens blare. Woo-wee, woo-wee. The lights flash red and yellow. Suddenly, a loud bell rings in the firehouse. Uh-oh, it's the fire alarm. There's a fire in town. Gear up, Pete. The firefighters scramble into their gear very quickly. Pete puts on his gear too. They all climb aboard the fire truck and turn on the siren lights. Firefighter Pete and the firefighters are on their way. Woo-wee, woo-wee. The fire engine races through town, and the lights flash round and round. A firefighter presses the horn. All the other cars move out of their way. There's a fire. It's hot and loud. The firefighters know exactly what to do. They work together as a team to connect the fire truck to the fire hydrant. Then the firefighters also attach a long, heavy hose to the fire truck. Firefighter Pete gives the signal, and the firefighters turn on the water. Whoosh! The water gushes out very fast. Several firefighters must hold the hose to control it. Pete helps direct the hose as they spray the fire with water. The fire is starting to go out. There is smoke everywhere. Suddenly, Pete hears yelling from the roof. Uh-oh, it's Grumpy Toad. He needs to be rescued. The firefighters raise a long ladder from the truck. Crank, crank, crank. The ladder goes up, up, and up. Firefighter Pete and another firefighter help Grumpy Toad climb down the ladder carefully. Yay, the fire is out and everyone is safe. The firefighters drive back to the firehouse. They take off all their gear. They pat Pete on the back and say, "Good job, Pete." The Firefighter Pete helped save the day. And now we'll do a fun arts and crafts.
Hi little deputies, I hope you enjoyed the 2 books that Captain Landis read you. And today, to go with the theme of the fire truck, we have a fun craft. We're going to be making a fire truck. This is what your completed craft will look like. So you need a black piece of construction paper to cut the wheels out, a white piece of paper to cut the window out, a yellow piece of paper to cut the light out, and a red piece of paper to cut the body of the truck out. 2 popsicle sticks, and a black Sharpie marker, or you could just use a regular pen if you want to. So, our first thing I'm going to do is you also need a glue stick. Take my glue stick and put some glue on the wheels, and then stick them on where the wheels go. First wheel down. Second wheel down. Then I'm going to take the glue stick and glue on the back of the popsicle sticks. And you line these up so they're in the long part of the truck. One for the bottom and one for the top. This is kind of going to look like a ladder once you put your lines in it. Then we have the window, because every firefighter needs to see where he's going or she's going. We'll put that in the top part of the truck, and then right above that in the middle, we're going to put the light. Okay, little deputies. Oh, I forgot to put the lines on. All right, now we are done. Fix my light, it fell off, and hopefully it will look something like this. I hope you had a fun time with our craft.